Maya is someone who's almost a perfect foil to Simon, as Simon being kind of a cynical older man who really doesn't know what to believe and is at war with himself. And here comes Maya, who is, the young believer and just ready to change the world, but doesn't really necessarily know what that entails yet.
Maya is a huge catalyst for Simon, because Simon sees in Maya this believer, this young girl that's traveled from I don't know where to find this man because she believes in this cause. So it's almost like it sparks up this desire in Simon again. Like, wait a minute. I'm here sitting in the dumps, but somehow this word is still catching on to people, and it motivates them again. It prompts them.
There ain't no teacher, and there ain't no movement.
I must have been really wrong.
Yeah.
I must have been wrong to think that anyone would choose a tired old drunk like you to lead anything, especially brave people like Saul and the teacher.
Maya starts out in the beginning of this journey with so much faith, and she's very naive. She comes from a very well-bred, well-educated, refined society, and she genuinely did not know what she was getting herself into. She saw the stuff on the update screen, but she didn't realize the severity of it until she starts getting into it more and more. And every step of the way, she thinks she can handle it. She thinks she can handle it, and they keep getting pushed down, and it's another obstacle for them to get over. And she loses that faith, and her fears become stronger. So it is kind of a sad journey for Maya, but it turns into something so much greater.
Rachel Camo was someone I had seen in a general casting call, I think, when I was just first starting to write the film, and I don't think at that point the Maya character was still a male character named Mark. So I didn't really have anything in mind, but I saw her audition and something, sparked my interest, and I kind of just filed it away. And then once the character kind of became fleshed out, she came back into my mind pretty easily. And I had tried to get her in a short, and it failed because of scheduling conflicts. But so I tried to get her out to the auditions. We had a lot of actually pretty good Maya candidates that I liked a lot. And she couldn't make it to the first audition because of work. And then she couldn't make it to the second audition because of conflicts. And usually when someone says no twice, I take that as a sign and just move on. So I was setting up the second callback, the third week of auditions, and I was looking at my Maya candidates and I was like, So I gave her a try one more time, and she's like, yeah, I can do it. So she came out, and her first audition was opposite Demi, who ended up playing Simon. And it was just sparks, and you could see right away that she had everything that you needed to make up the part. And it was important with the part, the character goes through a pretty huge transition of starting out as this very, sweet, hopeful, go-getter, and really transforms and takes on a lot of Simon's traits as they go on this trip together, and becomes a lot more wise and almost hardened by the end of it. So the Mayas had to have both, be able to do both the beginning and the end of that journey. And she was really one of the only ones who could do that, who could believably beat both of these people that Maya ends up becoming.
Going crazy! Didn't you see what was happening back there? Those people were listening. They were actually listening. And you leave? Why? I said why?
I couldn't stay, can't you see?
Oh, that's it, because you couldn't stay? I've been with you for a long time now. Through all this shit, that's the best you can come up with?
Look, why are you still here? Can't you see this isn't the life for you? You could do so much better. You're smart, you're pretty. You can go back to school, do whatever you want. Forget about all this shit. Just go with your family, live your life.
Forget?
You're not cut out for it, Mina. Your fair skin and your pretty face. What about your hands? You haven't seen a day's labor in your life.
How dare you?
The third major part was Jose Vasquez as Drew. Drew is Simon's brother. He's the one who basically is almost the impetus for the whole thing because he introduces Simon to the people in this movement. You know, he's kind of like Maya at the beginning where he's a believer. You know, he's so open to hope, I guess, as a concept. And so it's an interesting dynamic between him and Simon. Simon has been looking out for him basically all their lives. He's the little brother. And you get the feeling that Drew has probably gotten Simon into a lot of trouble in the past. But they love each other, and at the same time they fight all the time because that's what brothers do.
Stay close to me, hear me?
I'm a grown man.
And I made a promise to our dying mother when you were still a snotty-nosed little brat who couldn't even tie his own shoelaces that I was gonna look after you. And I'm gonna keep doing it.
We are not kids anymore. This is what we committed to. This is not the end. This is the beginning.
And Jose, you know, is such a positive presence on set, and I think it was a pretty good fit for him as far as the character was concerned. He responded to kind of that hopefulness and the more positive counterbalance to Simon's inherent negativity. And one of the big things with Jose was, again, his relationship with Demi. You know, they were very good friends off set. And when they got in a scene together, even just in auditions, you could see that they had depth and history between them that would come out no matter what the scenario was. And there was a brotherly bond, and that came across on camera too.
Freckles on her face. It was really funny with the girl with the freckles. With the freckles, it was really funny.
What did you put in the chicken?
Saul is kind of a natural counterpoint to Simon. They're both basically the people that everyone looks to after the teacher was dead. Simon has been there, and he also has the added thing of the teacher kind of looked to him and said, you know, you're the guy. Whereas Saul comes in and he's someone who was on the other side, and he was someone who, you know, was actively against the movement, and you get little glimpses of that through how everyone reacts to Saul to a certain extent. Saul is also the opposite or the foil of Simon in how they act and how people respond to them. The way I compared it, I think, to both actors was, you know, Simon is great talking to you one-on-one because he's real and he's a relatable guy. But when you put him out in front of a group of people, you know, he flounders because that's not his thing. He's not a politician. He's not someone who feels like he's capable of standing in front of a group of people and inspiring them. Whereas Saul is great in front of a group of people. You know, he knows how to inspire people. He's a fanatic. He's a fervent believer. You know, whatever he's in, he throws himself into it 100%. No doubt, if Maya and Drew's faith is kind of a shaky kind of beginner's faith, Saul's faith is the fanatic, the zealot, someone who's just thrown everything of themselves into something, which in those large settings can really inspire people and get them behind you. But one-on-one, he struggles because he has no patience, and his people skills are not as good. He always is right. Or at least he thinks he's always right, and there's no room for compromise.
Which one of you is prepared to abandon the possessions that define you? The selfish relationships that hold you back? Who is prepared to lead by following the path set forward by the teacher? Who is prepared to die so that we all can live?
And Rob was actually one of our casting directors along with Marco DeGeorge. And, you know, I had some good Saul candidates that I really liked. But, you know, I wanted to see everyone. And I knew Rob could act. So I basically browbeat him into auditioning. And I mean, right away you knew how phenomenal he was. And he really loved that character. You could tell even just before he tried out for him. You know, he asked me, I think the first week after he had heard one of Saul's big monologues, you know, can I use this as my monologue when I'm going out for auditions? And I'm like, well, yeah, of course. You can use all my stuff. I love hearing my stuff. Michelle Coutinho plays Naomi. Naomi is someone from Simon's past who they have a pretty strong bond and a lot of history together. The reason we really went with Michelle over some of the other ones who were really good was there was just so much chemistry whenever she and Demi got together in the scene. I mean, it sparked, you could see it, and you could really kind of feel that history without there being any history. They didn't even know each other. And I think both of them knew it. I think Demi, when I cast Michelle, was like, oh yeah, okay, good. So then you have Judd, played by Jameson Metz. Judd really sticks out of this group because he's a little more mischievous. There's something not quite right about him, and you're kind of wondering why he's here and what his role is in all of this. And I think as it goes on, you realize just how big of a role he plays and what is happening to Simon as the film goes on. Jameson was someone I was not familiar with, and he really just stood out in auditions. You know, we had one very significant scene between him and Simon, and he just got it right away and really did well in that role.
The actors, it's cool. Like, some of them knew each other, like Demi and Jose had worked together before, so they already had kind of a bond there. And but the others, Rachel, I don't think she knew any of them, and Rob and a few of the people were completely disconnected, but they all, you know, they all felt strongly about the script, and they all, you know, put their all into their characters, and they just meshed really nicely.
Mikhail. I'm rolling. Come on, strength in a row. You can really start rolling. Sounds rolling.
All right.
Speed.
Sounds rolling.
Oh, we're so ready. Oh, shit. Okay. Camera speeds.
This is 14A, take one.